Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Rad One Radio. I'm your host, Rob Anthony Dyer, as always. With me today, I have the iconic star of Dynasty. He's been on Santa Barbara and most recently been seen as Preston Regis on the hit web soap DEVANITY. And I'm talking about Gordon Thomson. Gordon, how are you?
How are you, sir?
I'm good. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, pleasure. Again.
So now DEVANITY's ended, which is sad.
Is it ended?
Yeah,
you know more than I do.
Michael said that was it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, he doesn't tell me anything. That is not fair and not true. We communicate quite a lot. And he mentioned a new idea, which I thought was, I'm not going to tell you what it was, because that's his baby and not mine. But I had no idea that DEVANITY, I'm sorry it's come to an end. It was an extremely happy time for me.
Yeah, he said he left it open that, you know, if he wants to bring it back, he can, but he said he thinks it was time for now.
Well, he's such a canny, a canny writer and a very canny showman. He probably knows. He told me once that two of his heroes were Aaron Spelling and Jim Henson, with both of whom I've worked. And he has great taste, I'll tell you.
Now, I didn't know you worked with Jim Henson. Tell me about that.
Yes, I did. I told this to somebody quite recently, and after we'd stopped the official chats, yes, I played the Frog Prince, 1971 in Toronto, with Kermit and Robin the Frog and Sweetums. Oh yeah, with Frank Oz and Jerry Jewell. Jim Henson played Kermit. I remember a scene towards the very end. If you can get a look at this, I'm not sure if it's available on DVD or not. 1971, The Muppets, The Frog Prince, and I was one of two human beings in the piece. I was Prince Robin the Brave before, and he was a frog, and after he stopped being a frog. So it was a very brief appearance, but it was one of the most enchanting, sorry, that's a rather odd word to use, but really it was enchanting sets I've ever worked on from that day to this. Henson played Kermit, and I remember a scene at the end on the balcony, Princess Melora's being cheered by her subjects, and I'm by her side. And at my side is Kermit. And underneath the balcony railing is Jim Henson with his hand being Kermit. And by this time, of course, Kermit's my best friend. And they were so powerful. I hear they still are, I'm sure. But with Henson in charge, there he was kneeling down underneath the balcony, he himself doing the gestures as Kermit, and the voice too, I would think, at the time. And unless it was pre-recorded. No, it wasn't actually. It was live. And I was stroking Kermit, and with Henson it was magic. It really was. And we all sang this huge anthem, and I even had my own song. They Call Me Sir Robin the Brave was the name of the song. And it was recorded at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah, when everybody else was done, because I was the kid. I mean, I was 26, and I was still going with lots of energy at that time of day, after God knows how many hours of recording, and it was really an astonishing experience. And then when Michael told me that Henson was one of his heroes, I thought, yes, you do have good taste. I knew, of course, about Aaron, because Aaron was probably the consummate television producer of all time, at least to date. And so I was in very good company with Michael. Anyway, there's a long, roundabout way of saying that I am sorry to see that DEVANITY is biting the dust, I hope only temporarily. But it was a really lovely time for everybody concerned. I would think if anybody you ask that, what was it, everybody would say without one deviation, it was a really wonderful experience because it was all done for love.
Yeah, I just actually spoke with Cherie J. Wilson the other day, and she did an episode, and she said basically the same thing you did.
Yes. Yes, I was knocked out with what she managed to pull off. I mean, it's just lovely. It really was.
Oh, yeah.
It was a lovely bunch of people. And God, can he pick pretty women? My, Jesus.
That's for sure. Yeah, I love that he's brought back a lot of people from the classic primetime soaps, which I miss. I grew up sneaking watching Dynasty in Dallas. And
did you really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's nice to hear.
It was a taboo, but my Italian grandmother watched them when she babysat. I have to sit there and be quiet and listen to her swear at the TV in Italian. And then so when I get a little older, I'd be hiding under the covers with my black and white portable TV and my earbuds, pretending I was asleep. That's
hysterical. Oh, by the way, for what it's worth, about that very subject, I'm doing the Channel 5 in Great Britain is doing a great big epic 3-hour, I think it's 3-hour, show about 50 of television's greatest villains whom we love to hate, and Adam is one of them. And they said, well, would I talk to them? Sure, I'll talk to you. They're going to pay me a little bit. I don't do anything without being paid in terms of PR anymore. I'm too old and too grand for that. But they said, yeah, they can cut up a little bit, and they have. I mean, they will. They better, otherwise I'm going to be really rude. And I'm going to chat, and Joan is going to be the presenter of this show, which is kind of fun.
Oh, wow. So do you still keep in touch with your Dynasty cast?
No, not really. It's funny, we all got along so well, with one or two exceptions. Joan and Linda didn't get along, and John and Joan didn't get along. But that was about it. Everybody else, we really got along very nicely. I think I've said that before many times, but it's true. It was a wonderful team. But I've seen Tracy Scoggins, although she's now back in Texas, I think. And I saw Jack's wife, Beth, about 6 weeks ago by accident. But it's a diaspora. We're all over the place. And the nice thing is that we're all very glad to see each other when we do see each other at an autograph show or whatever. And this is something else I'm going to bring up if we even asked the question. The Dynasty reunion that I just read online, Joan was gung-ho for a couple of years ago because Dallas is a big success. Mm-hmm. Well, I talked to a wonderful PR man, called Jeffrey Lane, who's sort of the patriarch of PR men in LA, I think. And he was in New York talking to Cozy TV about they're bringing back Heart to Heart in some form. Maybe it's just reruns. And he asked point blank, what is the possibility of bringing Dynasty back? And they said, well, we'd love to, but number one, it will be very, very expensive. And number two, there is a group of three, the Shapiros and Sumner Redstone, who is about as scary as his name, I think, who sort of is Mr. ABC. And they are standing rather rigidly with a great big dollar sign saying pay or forget it. And that's the impression I got anyway. And it's not going to happen, which is a shame. We'd all like to get together.
That is a shame. But, it's too bad because with all the channels out there now, I think the networks don't want to pay as much for the shows as they used to. And I've even noticed that, you watch a rerun of Dynasty and it was about 48 minutes of show, 12 minutes of commercial. Now you got 41 minutes of show and the rest is commercial.
Yeah, I think it's just horrific. And no, nobody has the money. And we, by the way, to me, the money soared during the 90s with the Friends cast getting $1 million for 4 days work a week. Mm. Wow. And of course, it just hit the stratosphere with Charlie Sheen, $2.5 million a show for 4 days work. That's what it takes to shoot a sitcom. 4 days. That includes the read right through to the final taping. 4 days work.
Wow.
Well, nobody got that. I think maybe Forsyth made that a year. Jonah Linden maybe. I certainly never came close to that a year. And they made that in a week. Wow.
Yeah, I know Larry Hagman was, I think, the first star of a show to make $1 million an episode when he became co-executive producer also.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I don't know. Well, John was never co-producer. He was just Aaron. He and Aaron were glued at the hip, I think. They grew up together. And, two Jewish boys up from the bootstraps. And good for them. But he was very, very loyal to John. And but I don't think he ever became a co-producer.
Now, when you were on Dynasty, was it like a clique, or were you friends with the other primetime soaps, or were they sort of your competitors?
We were the shows were competitive, certainly. But again, there wasn't much. I think Joan and Larry Hagman knew each other, certainly. John Forsythe, because of his background on Broadway and in Hollywood, knew everybody. Linda, probably the same thing, being married to Sean Derrick, would give her entree all over town long before Dynasty happened. But I arrived really basically from Toronto via a brief stay in New York to do Ryan's Hope. So I didn't have any friends in Hollywood. I quickly made friends with the cast and crew, obviously. But we all lived a sort of rather, what is the word? Not sheltered at all, but it was sort of, we were all in our little cocoon of Dynasty. And it wasn't that demanding a show. I mean, you want a demanding show, try Santa Barbara, or any daytime soap with good writing that runs an hour every day, as it used to. No, Dynasty was, we were aware of Falcon Crest and Dallas, and whoever else was at Knots Landing. And we see each other at the Golden Globes or whatever. But I don't think there was any kind of camaraderie, and it was nothing to do with hostility or anything else. It was just, I guess we were our own little club, you know, which was a very nice club to belong to. It was intelligent, attractive, talented people. And in each case, I think, we maybe had slightly more glamour than the other guys did. But that was thanks to Joan and Linda, basically.
So you mentioned that they didn't get along. So the rumors were true about that.
Rumors of
Joan and Linda not getting along. I remember
that was quite true. Yeah, that was dead true. And Jeffrey, I should probably stop quoting Jeffrey Lane. But John also wasn't a big fan of Joan. I think because Joan really had a huge impact on the show. And she wasn't a big star. If I told you this now before, I apologize. I'm going to say it again because I think it's really interesting. It's about Hollywood when she was growing up in Hollywood. And I asked her once if it was hard for her. She did something it was because if they wanted a British actress, brunette, there was Elizabeth, and then there was Claire Bloom or Donna Winter, and there was me. And when they got to me, I knew that I was third choice. If you think about it, it makes Elizabeth Taylor was the biggest star practically in movie history. Gorgeous, black-haired, talented woman. And then Claire Bloom, lauded actress, Donna Winter, the same thing. And Joan she was very pretty, and she could act, but she didn't have whatever it took to be Elizabeth or Claire Bloom. And so she had that huge background, and she never was a star. But Joan is a natural television star. And it's the screen, I think. I don't know if she would ever remotely admit this, but I think it's true. That's the size of screen Joan fills effortlessly. And she was stupendously effective as Alexis. And Aaron knew it, and he said, I think to her, you maybe know the quote, "Thank you for saving my show." Because after the first year, the only reason it was kept on the air was because his clout with ABC. And, you know, you're going to cancel Oil, then or Dynasty, you're going to cancel some other show is going to be kind of looking for new homes. So they kept it on, and Joan, the last scene of the end of the first season, there she was, striding into the courtroom for Stephen's trial. And she took off. And without question, she was the biggest star on the show, which put John's nose at a joint in a big way, because Aaron's buddy, Aaron's old friend, who had done Charlie's Angels and God knows what all, Hitchcock and everything else, and T.S. of the August Moon on Broadway, and suddenly his nose is at a joint because this, you know, second-rate British aging beauty queen is suddenly just taken off with my show. And he was really miffed, I think. His ego was out of joint.
Now, I just read, actually, and I hope I'm not breaking this news to you, but I just read that Kate O'Mara passed away.
Yes, that's right. I heard yesterday online, and I read the obituary this morning in the New York Times. Yes, she did, and there was a picture actually of Kate and Chris Cazeneuve and John and Joan in a foreshop, and they're all dead except John. It's so sad. And Kate was, well, how gorgeous was she? Jesus Christ! And she was a damn good actor and a treat. I don't remember if I had any scenes with her, but I certainly watched her work, because you do on a set when you're waiting to go on, and people are waiting to go on after you. You get to share each other's work habits and what we have to offer. Yes, she was a damn good actor and a treat to be with. Very funny. And I couldn't. Her son, did you read that too? No. And he was 48. He killed himself. I believe he hanged himself on New Year's Eve.
Oh man, that's horrible.
Yeah, horrible.
She was fairly young too.
74. Yeah. Which I tell you, and when you get to be as old as I am, that doesn't sound all that ancient.
No, my father's 74, so it doesn't seem that old to me.
I'm going to be 70 next birthday.
No.
Yep.
Wow.
Not a nice feeling, I tell you.
So she was playing your aunt on the show and was only like 5 years older than you.
Yes. Yes. Well, I have to say, in huge sort of, my genes, and I mean the G-E-N-E kind of, I was blessed or cursed with two very young-looking, physically attractive, fairly athletic parents. So I have always looked younger than I am. And, Joan's first words to me, I think I told you. Mm-hmm. Yes, you did think Vic is something, you're much too old. And she was quite right. But I looked about 15 years younger than I really was.
I think that's a blessing, I would think. People tell me I look a little younger than I am, thank goodness.
Okay. It's a mixed blessing at this point, I'm afraid, because neck up, 52, 3, 4, 5. The neck down, no, well over 60, sweetheart. So it's not easy. What can I say?
Now, after taking some time off from acting when you're doing DEVANITY, does that kind of make you want to get back into it again? Like do a series?
Oh, yes. The time off, I have to tell you, was because I developed scoliosis, and I've been very active my whole life, physically fit, and all that stuff, and slim and blah, blah, blah. The scoliosis it's the spine, and it's incurable, and I'm not Richard III, but it really does limit my movement. Stairs are a problem. I can't begin to walk very far. I certainly can't run. And from going from a very active individual to suddenly somebody who can't really do almost anything physical, it was incredibly depressing. It was actually despair. And I spent over a year in this condition. It is gone. I'm very happy to say it's gone now. I left late last year, and I'm now, which is why I'm now renewing my acquaintance with my agent and putting feelers out. And yes, I'm available, and please give me a part, give me something to do. And Michael was the perfect entree. I worked with him first in the middle of my despair, but his enthusiasm got me out of it at least for 48 hours, which was really a gift from the profession and from him specifically. And then he got me again as I was just easing out of my depression. And so what I had to do with DEVANITY was just, as I say, a gift. And because I'm good at my job, it was a gift that wasn't taxing, except that the writing was very challenging, which I love. And so, sorry. Again, roundabout answer. That's why from the neck down, I look a lot older than I used to, because I put weight on, and I don't like. But the point is, it is actually not a sad story. It's a good one. At least for me, I'm a positive man again. I'm a happy man again, and I want to go out there, and if I can get jobs where I don't need to jump hurdles or whatever, I'd like to work again a lot.
That's great. It's great to hear that you recovered too. I can relate to, had a couple spinal surgeries myself, and
oh Jesus, I'm sorry, Rob. I'm sorry. But they were successful, were they?
No, actually not really, but
so shit.
I can relate to that, but I'm very glad to hear that you're doing better. Now, do you watch TV nowadays? A lot of actors
I don't actually. Very little. I want Netflix, and I got to start actually because one show I did watch in its early days was Hot in Cleveland, which I loved because I think Wendy Malick is just a brilliant comedian, and Betty White should be, I don't know, given a new planet named after her. She's so wonderful.
She's amazing.
Yeah, she truly is. And this is something I'm sure she doesn't remember, and I wouldn't accept, and I'm still blown away that I did it. Celebrity Family Feud. Do you recall those?
I do.
You don't. You probably do.
I do.
Well, it was Betty's Bruisers and Gordon's Glories. Isn't that we were team leaders. Her team creamed mine. I think it was loaded, frankly. I just do. But she was the rudest, filthiest mouthed woman I've ever met, practically, and hysterically funny. You think out of this, Alan Ludden's widow uses language like that? Wow. And I was knocked out, and she was so damn funny. And she was lovely, and that's my history with her. And that's not the reason I'd like to be on Hot in Cleveland. I just think it's a brilliant show. And I'd like to be one of Wendy Malick's old soap buddies or something.
Oh, that's
or maybe we were a one-night stand, and she was so athletic that I threw my back out, and that's why I can't walk, or something like that. Anyway, but I have to start watching. If I'm going to recommend myself specifically to specific shows, I've got to know what I'm talking about. So I've got to start watching some more, which I'm not looking forward to.
Well, I love about Netflix. There's no commercials. I tend to do the binge watch after the fact myself.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not a fan of commercials. I don't ever watch anything when it's on. I DVR it or do the Netflix thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to have to do because, like you, the only commercials I can stand to sit through are the commercials on the shows like the Academy Awards because that's sort of all part of it. They're also damn chintzy, and it's also artificial and often offensive. It's all part of it. I don't watch religiously, but I do watch them. But also, speaking of Netflix, have you seen House of Cards?
No, I haven't actually.
The one that Netflix has produced?
No.
With Kevin Spacey?
I'll have to check it out for sure.
Well, I'll tell you, with Robin Wright, she got a Golden Globe Award as Best Actress in a Series. Mm-hmm. And Robin, I didn't work with her because she was on the show after she'd left when I joined Santa Barbara. But she was first cast as Kelly Capwell on Santa Barbara.
That's right.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I know, 30-something years ago. Anyway, it is based on a British series called House of Cards. I think it's 85 it was produced, with Ian Richardson and a wonderful actress called Diane Fletcher. And it's the lead character is a minister called Francis Urquhart, at least in England, and I think it's Frank Underwood, I think, in the one that Netflix produced. And his initials are FU, which is, in England, it's used with great wit, and it's very funny, with headlines, FU, stands up, whatever. And it's very funny. And Richardson does it. It does a lot of asides to the camera, which Kevin Spacey, good actor though he is, she hasn't got a lot of sort of sparkle. Ian Richardson is brilliant. If you watch it, and I recommend this one first, It is, the writing is wonderful. Acting is wonderful. Direction, the lot. It's all, and they use the camera brilliantly. Diane Fletcher basically plays Lady Macbeth, and she's absolutely wonderful. She is so treacherous. And he is this arrogant, charming dupe. It's a brilliant piece of acting. And Spacey, all the good things he has going for him, charm is not evident, not in the 2 episodes I saw. And I was disappointed, and it's getting all kinds of kudos from the press here, has done for the last 2 years. And so have a look. I'd like to know what you think as an intelligent viewer with some years under his belt.
Dating myself.
No, how many people do you know whom you can stomach talking to for any length of time? I hope I'm one of them, because you're stuck. But really, I don't, maybe I'm going to be crucified for saying this, but people are getting socially stupider and stupider and less informed. I think social media has a lot to answer for.
I agree with you to a point. It has, it's a double-edged sword in a way. There's 2 sides of the coin.
Tell me the good side quickly.
It allows you to keep in touch with people that you may have lost touch with, but I think it diminishes the quality.
You can do that with email, for Christ's sake.
True. It is true. I mean, you're right. If people can still pick up a phone, yeah, I agree.
Because honestly, I have to confess, I do not partake. Apparently I have reams on Facebook. I personally have never logged on and never will. I don't tweet or Twitter or LinkedIn. None of that. I won't do it. There's a quote, if I can find it, on my bookshelf, from a former poet laureate. Come on, Gordon, where is it? It's a brilliant quote, actually. Where are you?
Wow, bookshelf. No, I'm just kidding.
The bookshelf is a mess.
Not your iPad, right?
Oh, hell, I can't anyway. And I wish I could paraphrase it properly. His name is Billy, oh, God. Anyway, he really was a poet laureate. And he has to say that he finds social media incredibly intrusive. Privacy is completely lost. And the content is as trivial as it could possibly be, which for the most part it is. And no, thank you. That's why I bring up the idea of how many people do you really want to listen to or talk to, or whose opinions you value in the world.
Very true. I mean, I don't think anybody could have 10,000 friends, you know.
Well, you could have fooled about 10,000 million other people. Really, it's addictive. And there's that stupid, well, rather brilliant New York Times cartoon about this person looking down at the streets below him, looking at the subway entrance, and all he sees are this row of people, heads bowed, approaching the stairs to go down. He thinks, is that a religious procession? No. It was people with their goddamn iPhones.
I guess you don't have an iPhone.
No, and I never will have. Ever. I don't ever want to sit down with anybody ever again. Oh, wait till I show you. And then, show me your fucking kid's stool, you know? That's what you get. And that's not something I want to feast my eyes on. Nor your hotel room at your last holiday, or the view from it, or the lake. No, thank you. I know what a lake looks like. I'm glad you had a good time. I like you, and really, but no, I don't want to share every bloody minute. I don't, of your life. I don't. And your kitty, your cute little kitty and your little dog, please.
I'm guilty of sharing pictures of my cat, I must admit.
Of course, because you have an iPhone and you got a cat.
She is really cute.
I've had cats my whole life. I have dogs now. I wouldn't. Here's my dog. Isn't she fat? No, thank you. No.
I'm so sad because I posted on Facebook earlier that my cat was gaining so much weight.
Oh, Jesus. And you shared that with all your friends.
Well, see, the thing is, when I'm doing a show like this, I have to use social media to promote it. It's kind of...
Of course you do. No, it makes great sense. Denise James, John James's wife, emailed me out a couple of months ago. Denise's big deal is dogs and stray dogs and PETA and all that stuff. She's a huge proponent of animal care and humane societies. And she has a talk show, a radio talk show. And I said, Denise, please tell me Gordon, I have to because of my show. But no, I don't do all that sort of photographs of sharing my life and invading privacy. Well, much like you, she has a show to promote, so she has to use it. Listen, my friend Lisa de Gazot emailed me after my first appearance on DEVANITY, a show which she likes very much, by the way. Lisa's an executive producer of one of the very few remaining soaps on the air, and very smart, and has had to become media savvy. And she, honey, they love you. And she sent me this endless list of, I guess it was tweet. I said, Lisa, I can't access any of that. You know what a Luddite I am. Thank you. I'm glad they liked it. I had a good time, but I don't know what the hell they're saying. And she sent me this endless list. It was nice to hear, really. And Michael Caruso was immensely enlightening about that, right? Because he told me how when my appearance on DEVANITY was announced on his website and it was tweeted and whatever the hell happened, the social media around the world, it's worldwide. Mm-hmm. That was scary. And it was a great sort of ego bath for me because, like most people my age who had a little flicker 20 years ago, it's nice to be reminded that people do remember and did enjoy. And that's all social media. But I feel like, somebody who can't swim approaching a diving board. No, thank you.
Well, nowadays a lot of actors say that they feel like it's part of just the nature of the game nowadays. It's like fans expect some sort of contact with them. It's the world has changed.
That's very true. I haven't had the fan experience yet. However, people have been able to find my home address, which is kind of scary.
Oh, that's freaky.
Yeah, it is, but it's not nice.
They just show up and expect you to give them an autograph or something?
No, they don't. They don't show up because they're all from Europe, mostly. So they write. Oh. And it's not hordes, but it's just enough to give a person pause. It's unnerving to me. But I do understand. And yes, when I had a meeting with the agent after I got my act together, we had a proper meeting and they explained to me what is necessary. And that's only in the year or two since I, was in hiding out of depression.
That concludes part 1 of my conversation with Gordon Thomson. Stay tuned for part 2, which will be posted in a few days. Please visit rad-radio.net to listen to all episodes. You can also like the Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Rad1Radio. Follow the show on Twitter @Rad1Radio. And thank you for listening. This is Rad 1 Radio.